Right now, a revolution is taking place in the world's most competitive racing game. For the last 13 years, players have battled to hold the world records on the tracks in Trackmania Nations Forever, and we would like to think that these records have become close to perfect. But recently, we discovered how we couldn't have been more wrong, because in the span of the last 2 weeks, all 65 world records in the game were completely destroyed. But not by human players. All of these records have been beaten by new advanced technology. You see, the Trackmania genius Donadigo recently created a tool that allows players to create theoretically perfect speedruns. Runs driven with this tool are of course not permitted on the leaderboards. These runs are known as tool-assisted speedruns, or TAS for short. The goal of tool-assisted speedruns is to figure out what a theoretically perfect run of a game looks like. And in Trackmania Nations Forever, these runs look absolutely ridiculous. In this video, we will look at the best runs that have been created with the tool in the first 2 weeks after its release, and talk about all the new strategies that have been discovered, and if they could be viable in actual speedruns or not. Let's start by taking a look at the track CO9 Race. The world record on this track is a 41:28 by knock, and it uses a big shortcut. This track has 3 checkpoints, and to make a long story short, Knock's world record does a shortcut where he takes checkpoint 2, then checkpoint 3, then checkpoint 1, and then he drives to the finish, which saves about 3.5 seconds over the normal way. This world record is really strong, but for a long time, players have theorized that there's an even faster and crazier shortcut on CO9 Race. Checkpoint 1 and checkpoint 2 on the track are very close by one another, so it was thought that if you could skip directly from checkpoint 1 up to checkpoint 2, it would save a lot of time. But despite many players trying it, nobody has even gotten close to doing this yet, and most players were convinced that it simply wasn't possible. But once the tool came out, some players decided to try it and investigate if there was any way to make it work. And very surprisingly, only 2 days after the tool was released, Soko published this tool-assisted run on CO9 Race. .3892, proving that the skip was indeed possible, and that in theory, with a perfect run, over 2 seconds could still be saved on CO9 Race. This skip though is absurd. In the start, Soko clipped the corner of the platform with his front tire to force the nose of the car to dip down over the edge. Then, as his nose was perfectly pointing towards the road, he stopped the rotation with an air brake, and set up for a trick called the nose bug. The nose bug is a trick where if your car is perfectly on its nose and you press the drift keys, the game will shoot your car off about 90 degrees opposite of where you were going, while preserving your speed. In the tool-assisted run, Soko landed perfectly in a position to nose bug. He then did one nose bug to the left, while also setting himself up perfectly for another nose bug to the left. And with this nose bug, he was able to carry barely enough speed to bounce and land up on the road before checkpoint 2. And from there, he could cruise to the finish line in great style. As of right now, I think it's safe to say that this strategy isn't viable in real runs, but we'll see if anyone is crazy enough to try it. Next up, there is BO4 Acrobatic, a seemingly simple track with just a start, a wall ride, and a finish. The world record is a 12:48 set by Hefest, which has later been tied by 2 other players. BO4 Acrobatic is one of the tracks that we've thought the human record is closest to the theoretical limit. But BO4 Acrobatic is also home to perhaps the most ridiculous shortcut idea in Trackmania history. This shortcut idea was first discovered by the player Tortugo, who as a fun fact, later became a Czech Republic influencer named Adam Kajumi. In 2013, Tortugo made a drawing of the map where he showed his shortcut idea. Tortugo's plan was to nosebug across to the other side right after the start, and then do another nosebug on the other side to get to the finish, and skip driving the wall ride. The idea looked absolutely crazy, but if done like he wrote it down, then it could surely save time. But was it actually possible? How would you even set up for a nosebug on a track with no jumps or drop downs? Well, conveniently, players use a bug here called the Ramstein bug, which could set you up for a nosebug. And when the tool's released, the player Trinity decided that this nosebug idea would be his first target. He started going for Tortugo's idea, and after a few hours of trying, he did successfully get a few nosebugs to the other side, but none of them had potential for a second nosebug to the finish. Then Trinity decided to change his approach and try random input sequences until he stumbled over a working combination on accident. And after optimizing it a little bit further, Trinity got this tool-assisted run on BO4 Acrobatic. This shortcut was a meme in the Trackmania community for over 8 years, and it's absolutely crazy to think that it was possible in theory all along. But perhaps it isn't so possible in real speedruns after all. In the run, Trinity used not just one nosebug, but 4 nosebugs in the span of a second, saving 3.5 seconds over the normal way world record. Next up on C11 race, a ridiculous new shortcut that was theorized by Alex would be proved to be possible: the Uber bug. On C11 race, there's quite a big distance between the final checkpoint and the finish, and instead of just driving normally all the way there, the player Gbod proved that you could do this. That was a Uber bug. For some reason, when you land sideways and drift in Trackmania, you can do what's known as a bug slide, where you can do a very sharp drift at high speeds. And if you bug slide into a wall, strange things start to happen, and the game sometimes miscalculates your speed, giving you more speed from crashing instead of less. And this boost in speed can send you flying, saving almost 5 seconds against the normal way world record. There's another Uber bug like this in the campaign that has also been proven to be possible on CO5 Endurance by the player Alex, and it's not too unlikely that both of these may be done in the years to come. As more and more tool-assisted runs were created, these strategies proved themselves to be the most efficient means of traveling in Trackmania. Wherever you could use them, nosebugs, bug slides, Uber bugs, and Ramstein bugs would usually save time, and players got more and more creative with implementations. Tracks like DO2 Race and DO8 Speed would see incredible uses and combinations of these bugs. DO2 Race saw an incredible new shortcut done by Casper that could in theory save over 7 seconds, but it remains to be seen if it will ever be done in a real run. And DO8 Speed has a new trick done by Alex that could also save over 2 seconds in a single turn, by combining a nosebug into a bug slide. C15 Speed would also see a brand new shortcut done by G-Star, which was a combination of first a Uber bug, followed by a bug slide through one checkpoint to collect the next checkpoint. Then, later in the run, G-Star did a Ramstein bug to reduce airtime, and finally, to round it all off, a bounce into the finish bug, saving over 3 seconds versus the normal world record. It was incredible to see what ideas players could come up with when using the Trackmania interface. For over 13 years before, shortcuts have been found and proven through raw attempts by players and their game knowledge. But with the Trackmania interface, players could use save states, input changes, and brute forcing to truly prove or disprove any shortcut idea that had been discovered over the years. The tool and its release truly signifies Trackmania speedrunning entering a new era, one where technology will assist in advancing human records even further. It's a similar revolution to the one chess underwent when the chess computers arrived, and chess as a game thrived because of it. So let's now take a look at not just the craziest shortcuts, but ones that human players could realistically benefit from. Shortcuts that we may plausibly see done in real record attempts. First off, on D10 Race, a tool assisted run was created by Jav and SciTryHard that saved 1.3 seconds, and all that was changed was a few inputs in the first 3 seconds of driving. You see, this track has a very intricate and efficient shortcut route. It starts out by climbing over this wall to the left to reach the first checkpoint, and up until now, the standard way of doing this has been to press forward and then fully steer left at exactly 1.83 seconds. Because in Trackmania, the physics are completely deterministic, so that exact sequence of inputs will always give you the same result. The entire top 10 records got this exact timing down to get a perfect climb over the first wall, and then they drove the rest of the shortcut route as normal. But what SciTryHard discovered was an even faster input combination to climb the wall, one where you would go a bit more out towards the left in the start, then drift and get the car into a nosebug position. From there, you could nosebug onto the first road and keep much more speed for the following section of driving, which ended up saving over 1 second. And it's going to be very interesting to see if anyone can replicate this nosebug line in the weeks to come. It would definitely save a substantial amount of time. Then there's D09 Race, where Trinity made a tool-assisted run which saved 1 second versus the current world record by Demon. And in the run, he gained the majority of time by doing this trick. This trick might look weird at first. How would this save time contrary to just keeping full ground contact all the way up the sculpture? The reason it's done is that going off the edge of the sculpture and clipping the back wheel lets the front wheels have full grip with the sculpture, where they are otherwise just sliding, which in turn gives you a lot more speed. And with this speed, it's just barely possible to do a backflip and land perfectly on the following platform, instead of landing on top of the sculpture and then dropping down, like the current world record does. This trick not only looks cool, but it also saves a lot of time, and if one of the top players manage to do it, it's very likely that they will maintain the lead throughout the track and set a new world record. Apart from that, there's also many other records that have been improved with other new and interesting tricks, where the time gains aren't nearly as substantial, but we might see some of these done in the future as well. Overall, I'm stunned by what the Trackmania players have managed to create in just the first 2 weeks of this task tool being released, and I'm hoping to see a lot of world records being improved with these techniques in the future. But for that, I guess we will just have to wait and see. If you enjoyed this video, then please consider subscribing to the channel, so you never miss when I upload new content. Also, a big thank you to all my lovely patrons for supporting my work. Your generosity is much appreciated. If you yourself want to become a patron, there will be a link in the description below. But anyways, that's it for now guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Until then, have a good one.